All right, this set of notes focuses on Coulomb's law. As always, please either take your own notes in Cornell format or use the Cornell notes that have been provided for you and supplement them. All right, before we get into Coulomb's law, we do want to talk briefly about the fundamental forces of the universe. And in the universe, there are four major forces, four pushes or pulls that we know of. Any push or pull that you can think of falls under one of these four categories. Those four forces are the strong nuclear force, the electromagnetic force, the weak nuclear force, the gravitational force. All right? And on this slide, I've got them listed from strongest force to weakest force. The ones that you're probably most familiar with are the electromagnetic force and the gravitational force. The other two forces you're probably not as familiar with, and they're not terribly important in chemistry. They are important in physics, especially in nuclear physics. So let's go through them from strongest to weakest. Okay, the strongest force in the universe is the strong nuclear force. It is what holds the atoms of nuclei together. And it's a super strong force. However, it only acts over very short distances within the nucleus of the atom. Typically, they say, if we're talking about protons and neutrons in the nucleus, it only acts 1 to maybe 2 particles away. After that, the strength of the force diminishes greatly. But it's what holds protons and neutrons together. The second force, which is probably the one that is most important in chemistry, is the electromagnetic force. The electromagnetic force is based on the idea that electric and magnetic charges repel or attract to one another. So in other words, like charges repel, opposite charges attract. It also gives us the idea of why magnets pull together, because magnetism and electricity are very closely related. It is weaker than the strong nuclear force, but it can act over a much longer range than the strong nuclear force. If you think about this in terms of if you've ever seen charged particles or magnets acting at a distance, you know that they act over way longer distances than just 1 or 2 atoms. They can act over human-sized distances. The third major force is the weak nuclear force. This is the force that's responsible for nuclear decay. It also is the one that's most complex to understand. It's a fairly weak force, and it acts, again, over a very short distance range just within the nucleus. And it's at this point, it doesn't play any part in chemistry, so I'm not going to go ahead and explain much more about it, other than to let you know it's there, and it's responsible for nuclear decay. And the last force, the weakest force, is gravitational force, which is kind of weird because gravitational force is, of course, what keeps us stuck on planet Earth and not flying up all over the place. And so we might think of it as a fairly strong force. However, it is the weakest of all fundamental forces, but it acts over very long distances. It's always attractive, and it acts between any two pieces of matter. Anything that has mass is attracted to anything else that has mass. And it's super important in explaining the structure of the universe, why things are. And the reason why we typically think of it as being a stronger force than it really is because it's based on how much mass there is. And so things like the Earth have a ton of mass, and so they'll generate a lot of gravitational force. However, particle for particle, gravitational force is a very weak force. Which brings us to Coulomb's law. Okay, as I said, the electromagnetic force is the most important force in chemistry, and the law or the idea that governs how electromagnetic force works is Coulomb's law. So to understand Coulomb's law, we need to understand a little bit more about electric charge. Electric charge is symbolized using the symbol Q. And it has been known since ancient times that if amber or any other stick, not a smooth stick, is rubbed on cloth, it can attract light objects like a feather. Okay, this is due to a property of matter called electric charge. Okay, 2 types of electric charge, as you probably know, positive and negative. Those terms were given by Benjamin Franklin, and they're kind of arbitrary. There's no real reason why we call one positive or the other negative. Those were just the names. Okay, so if we rub a glass with a silk cloth, the sign of the electric charge on the glass is defined as positive, and if we rub plastic with fur cloth, the sign of the electron on the plastic is defined as negative. And so that's sort of where they ended up with defining those things. Later on, we would discover that this is really all about electrons being in one place or another. But nonetheless, positive charge, negative charge. So once they charged some objects, they were able to show that objects with the same sign repel each other. So positive repels positive, negative repels negative. But objects with different signs attract each other. Opposites attract. Positive attracts negative. So why is it called Coulomb's law? Well, Charles Coulomb, a scientist, came along and he measured the magnitude of electric forces between two small charged spheres. Okay? And he found that force depended upon the charges and the distance between them. Okay, so as he did this experiment, he figured out that stronger forces were related to close distances and large charge. Weaker electromagnetic forces were found at larger distances and smaller charge. So, if we consider any two charges that are some distance apart, they exert a force on each other, whether it be repulsion or attraction. Okay? The force is repulsion if they're, again, the same sign, attraction if they're opposite signs. How big the force is given by Coulomb's law, which he was able to derive mathematically and figure out that force, that electromagnetic force, was equal to some kind of constant, which later on became known as Coulomb's constant, times the charge of the first particle times the charge of the second particle, divided by the radius squared, or the distance between them squared. Again, Ke is called the Coulomb constant. Okay? So a few things that you'll notice here is that sizes of the charges are on the top, and those are multiplied together, and the distance factor on the bottom is squared. All right? So as we increase the charge, the numerator will get bigger, and that would make the force go up. As we decrease the distance, the denominator is going to get smaller, and that again will make the force go up. Okay, so a little bit of mathematical reasoning here. Let's try it. All right, so on the left side of your notes, if you would please go ahead and think about these different questions. Let's do the first one together. Okay, so it says that the distance between two charges is doubled. What will happen to the force between the charges? Okay, so we know that force is Q1, Q2 over R squared. All right, so they're basically saying if the distance here is doubled, so that means R is going to be 2 times as big. Okay, R is a squared term, so that means that bottom denominator is going to be 4 times bigger. Okay. You'll notice it's in the denominator. So what does that mean about the force? Well, the force is going to be 1/4 as big as it was before. Okay. There's an example of how to do this. If you could please go ahead and do the remaining 6, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about them. All right. If the distance between two charges is tripled, what will happen to the force between the charges? Okay, so again, that means that R is going to be 3 times what it was before. So R squared will be 9 times what it was before. Okay, so how big? That's in the denominator again. So the force is going to be 1/9 what it was. If the distance between two charges is quadrupled, what will happen? So now R is 4 times what it was before. So R squared is going to be 16 times. All right, so this will be 1/16 what it was before. Okay. If the distance between two charges is halved, what will happen to the force? Okay, so R is going to be 1/2 x. So R squared will be 1/4 x. That's in the denominator, so that's going to be 4 times bigger than it was before. Okay. If the charge on Q is doubled, what will happen to the force between the two charges? So Q is going to be 2x. So that's doubling this top part. So that means it's going to be 2 times bigger because it's in the numerator. If the charge on Q2 is doubled, what will happen? So Q2 is going to be twice as big. So what is that going to do? Well, once again, we're just changing this variable here and making it double the size. So it's going to be 2 times bigger. And if the charges on Q1 and Q2 are doubled, what will happen to the force between this charge? So Q1 and Q2 are both going to be 2 times bigger. So if I multiply them together on that top part, that's going to be 4 times bigger. That's in the numerator. So overall, this is going to be 4 times bigger. Okay. All right. Hopefully that was enough to get you to understand Coulomb's law, how it works, what the factors are, and how to calculate things with it. If you need more help, there is an additional video that explains this a little bit more conceptually. Thanks.